Okay, Mikey. It's the first ever official unofficial episode of our podcast.
We would say 3 guys, 1 bottle, but David
We
is
would
not
say
here.
that, but we're not. But so it's 2 guys, 1 bottle because David's too busy playing ranked.
Yep.
You know. Okay.
All right. So let's
I'm
start with some intros.
Start with some intros. Yeah, I'm Trenton. I'm your official unofficial host. I do the technical stuff. It's not fully fleshed out, but I think we're gonna be doing good.
And I am Mikey. I'm really short. Obviously.
Your knees don't work.
My left knee
does not work.
But that's
it doesn't
that's
work
a story
at all.
for a later date.
For the when the podcast actually
I'm
starts
really
up.
excited.
Yeah, I got these. I went to the store, right, and I want to get all the cool Halloween mixes of candies, right? Because I was like, oh, I want to see what they've got. So first, I got these Haribo scare mixes. They're basically just fucking disgusting, fucking sour gummies, disgusting. But the second thing I bought these Skittles, and they're called Zombie Skittles. Now, me being like fat ass I am, goes over the store and sees, oh, new Skittles, bought a bag, didn't even read it. I put one in my mouth, it tastes great. Put another one in my mouth. Not so great.
Not so great? Oh, no.
Now, I'm going to go, and I'm going to read to you the bag, because this podcast is portable, by the way, because I'm on my phone. When we're actually doing the podcast, I'm not going to walk around. But these Skittles read, most taste delicious, but some taste like rotten zombie. Dare to try them. My fat ass didn't fucking read that.
Oh my god, it's like a Bean
Boozled. It's a Bean Boozled fucking Skittle. Now imagine the look on my face, breaking open a bag of delicious Skittles, then cramming her face with shit. It was hell. I couldn't. And my first thought, I text mom because she's out, and I'm like, you need to buy a fucking big ass bag, and she's like, why? I'm like, because we need to fucking pass these out, because the little bags don't tell you what's on them. That's why I didn't know. The little fun size bags don't give you the warning. Only the big bag that holds little bags. So if you give this zombie mix to children, there is no way that they would know that you have this fucking poison in your hand.
Okay, you really shouldn't say that you're gonna give kids poison.
I'm not gonna give them poison. I'm going to give them nasty Skittles, and it's gonna teach them about the real world. Okay, the real world isn't a bunch of Skittles. Some of them taste like shit. Okay, welcome to the real world, kid. I'm gonna kick him in the face. I'm just like, now get the fuck out. And then some other kid's gonna show up, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, I know what you did to that other kid, and I'm gonna pay him off with like a Twix bar. Don't tell anyone what you saw." I'm gonna be the godfather of the fucking of Halloween.
Oh my god!
Don't even test me.
Yeah. While we're on this whole like Halloween topic, my little sister, she watched that movie Suicide Squad.
Oh god, fuck that movie.
Then she saw the Harley Quinn, and she was absolutely not. She wears zero clothes the entire movie.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
My sister,
she wears like tissue paper.
Is 6, and I'm like, what? No. And my mom's like, yeah, let her. And I'm like, you're letting this happen?
No.
She's like, yeah.
She's gonna get kidnapped.
So my little sister is gonna be Harley Quinn. And then my mom was like, all right, we've all got to base our costumes around Batman now. But I loved Batman for the longest time. So I've already been the Joker Batmobile. And Two-Face.
You gotta be the Batmobile. Fucking burn!
I've already been Joker and Two-Face. My dad is being Bane. My little brother is being Batman. And my mom's being Poison Ivy. So I have like nobody to choose from. You should
be just an extra, just a cop, just some fucking extra. Civilian 45 from the scene of The Dark Knight.
Oh my god.
He was in the movies. He's canon.
I'm gonna be Batman's left boot.
I'm gonna be a Batarang. You just wear a big ass Batarang. Nah, you're the guy that goes nah Batman.
I'm gonna follow my brother around wearing all black.
Oh my
in a megaphone,
god.
just
No, no, no,
really
no, no, no,
grab the
Batman!
audio, just like.
Oh wow. You're gonna oh wow. Man, okay, I've dressed up every single year, and I've never failed. But I don't really go trick or treating unless I'm like taking children to go like, oh well, let me take you around so your parents can go fuck while you go trick or treat. Like that's what happened. So I'm like, I would dress up as like these not so scary but scary costumes. But last year I didn't want to dress up as anything. I was like, I don't want to dress up as anything. I'm just really not in the mood. My dad forced me. So he was like, you gotta dress up as something. So I was like, okay, I know what I'm gonna dress up as. So I put a leather jacket on, a white shirt and jeans, and he was like, what do you dress as? I'm like, I'm a drug dealer from the 50s. And so I'm going around Halloween, right?
Okay.
And you know what I learned when you trick or treat without an actual costume?
What?
You get dirty fucking looks. You get dirty looks up the ass. And I'm like, I know, dude, do you really think that me, a guy that I want to be inside today, I had to be outside, but so I don't want to be outside wearing fucking super thin pants and a fucking itchy wig that was made out of like the hair of Satan. Because okay, you know that every single piece of clothing they give you is thin. It's so like paper
Yes.
thin. You
Yes.
breathe on it and it breaks. It's so thin.
Exactly.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's good enough to wear in like 14-degree weather on an October night." Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm like, I'm
Basically a
good.
November night.
Pretty much. Oh my god.
If you're not
I
a bitch, you don't even start trick or treating until like 10 p.m.
my
It's not
my
even about the
mom.
trick or treating. It's about rolling with the homies.
It really is just about rolling with the boys, man. There's really no other part when you get this old. There was one time though when I was trick or treating, I was going with my ex-girlfriend at the time and her sister and then her sister's friend. This truck full of hot ass blonde ladies drives past and they throw a fucking paper towel roll
What?
and it hits my ex in the face. This is true story, by the way. And then she gets all sad. She's like, "Oh, they're so mean." I'm like, "I think they're just trying to have fun. It's Halloween." And then she's like, "You're just saying that because they're cute." And I'm like, "I mean, yeah, but you know, you don't have to fucking say it." And I was like, I don't want to be mean. And then it turns out the next day, the person that did it sits behind me in government class.
Oh my god.
And she was like, "Hey, did you know that lady you were walking with?" I'm like, "What?" It was the lady you're walking with at Halloween. I'm like, "My ex?" And she goes, "Oh, I thought it was like my girlfriend." And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Were you the one in the trunk?" And she was like, "Yeah." And now my ex sits like across the class from me at this time. I go, "Yo, I'm not even gonna lie, that was funny as shit." My ex hears me, he goes, "What did you say?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And that was the day I realized, is this what marriage feels like? And I think this is what marriage feels like. I don't want this. And then oh my god, it was terrible. She was so weird,
That's
man.
great.
She was so weird. She weirded me out. I don't know why. Why was your Halloween like? Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to start getting into like a story real quick. Just a quick story that it's not really that interesting, so I probably won't tell it on like a main episode.
Right, that's what I'm doing. I'm picking the B-list stories right now.
Picking the C tier stories.
I'm picking those stories that I don't even tell them like, in the fucking Xbox group.
This is like the C minus level story.
I tell this to the person sitting next to me in the waiting room. This is so bad.
So
all right, go ahead.
I had a Halloween party one year, and David was there, and a few of my other friends were there, and we were just walking around the neighborhood doing whatever. And then we go up to my friend Ryan Furl's house. He lives like right down the street from me, right? And there is this cooler on his porch because they didn't really do trick or treating. They just kind of like got all their snacks out and they just hung out, said hi to all the little trick or treaters,
right,
and handed them stuff. But they had their own like private cooler full of drinks.
Oh.
So we're like, shit, let's rob these mofos. So we roll up and they're like, yo, what's good? And we're like, hey, what you got in that cooler over there? And they're like, oh, it's just some drinks that we were drinking. And so I wanted to, you know, that saying, give an inch and they take a mile.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I was like, "Hey Ryan, can I grab a drink real quick?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And we all rolled up and grabbed like 3 hugs. You know those little juice barrel on hugs? We each grabbed
Oh,
like 3
yeah.
of them, shoved them in our hoodies, and just took off down the street.
Bro, I have a really similar story to that. My neighbor cooks these. Oh, she's such a good baker. And for Halloween, she bakes these like super, really cutesy cupcakes that she gives out to some of the teenagers, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, it was like super late. She was about to go in, and she had like 9 cupcakes left. I'm like, hey, there's this Freddy Krueger guy down the street. He was an awesome guy, but I have a story about him later. And I was like, hey, can I take some cupcake? Can I take a cupcake for him? She's like, oh, of course. I shit you not. 3 guys that I did not know go, thanks, bro, and go over and grab them, and I'm like, okay. And then she was like, oh, do you know them? I'm like, yeah. And I grabbed
Yeah,
2, and I was like, bye. Yeah. I never saw those guys again. Never in my entire life have I ever seen them again. Fucking guy dressed as Spider-Man, a guy dressed as the Marshmallow Man from fucking Ghostbusters, and
Stay
some guy
Puft.
wearing no thing. Yeah, that guy, Stay Puft guy.
Yeah.
God. That Freddy Krueger guy, though.
Dude, the
He
Freddy
was-
Krueger
oh,
guy, did he
man.
have like a haunted house? And he would dress up as Freddy Krueger every year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh
And
my
he was
god.
also Mr. Ring.
would
He
go to
worked for
his
the
house.
schools. He lives like right down the road from me.
What?
Yeah, that guy.
He chased my mom down the street one time. Like a solid 50 yards. Like
Yo,
it was
he has
like-
a really good costume too. It's like metal
Dude,
knives
it's
and
so
shit.
good.
You know, he won $10,000 for that costume. Like he went to a contest, a costume competition, and he won $10,000.
Oh my god! Speaking, nah, I'm gonna save this costume competition.
Yeah.
for
Okay.
the-
I have to finish my story about this Freddy Krueger guy.
Okay.
It was nearing the end of the night. I was tired. I was bored. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go see what else is down this road. I'm like, oh, dude, that guy's a sick Freddy Krueger costume. And he goes, hello. And I'm like, sup? And he goes, you are older than the children I scared. Typically, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really that young. And he's like, oh, and he immediately cuts the voice. Goes, oh, cool. You go to high school? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I'm a safety guy for one of those. My name's Mr. Ring. You ever heard of me? I'm like, oh, not really. He goes, yeah, I work, PAX in Northern mostly. My main office is in PAX, and I'm like, oh, cool. He goes, but I come to Calvert sometimes. I'm like, oh, this guy's fucking cool as shit. So I sit down. I'm like, so that's the nicest costume. He's like, yeah, man, I made it myself. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He goes, I'm like, okay, quick question. Do you ever sharpen those knives just to see what would happen? He goes, no. I'm like,
Oh.
could you? I mean, could you? And we went on this long ass topic, and it was, it was like 12 o'clock at night, and his wife comes outside and goes, hey, what are you doing over there? And he goes, nothing. And he's like, I'm just waiting for trick or treaters. He's like, don't you think they've all gone to bed by now? And I'm like, oh my. And I looked at him like, is it your bedtime? He goes, shut. He looked at me and goes, shut up. And in the most serious voice, I thought he was actually mad at me. He was like, shut up. And then he goes away, and I'm like, that guy was so cool. He
Damn.
gave me candy. He was like,
bedtime.
I was mooching off his candy bowl
Savage.
for like an hour. That guy had he had top tier candy, like Milk
You're just
Duds.
Acting
Twix, Kit
super
Kats.
interested in his story about how he made
Oh.
the contest, just shoving.
He
your
told
mouth full of
oh
milk
god,
duds.
that's exactly what I was doing. He told me
Oh
big
my
geek. That was stuff,
God.
and I was just cramming my face like, oh, really? And I couldn't tell you a single thing he told me. All I know is like it was nerdy shit. Didn't care. I got so much candy, but I could tell you every piece of candy in that bowl. I swear.
Oh my god. All right. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead
I
and
think
end
that's
little
yeah. I think that's a
episode
good
on that.
this little episode. It went better than I thought it would. Double the time. All right. Well,
14
to those who, 14 minutes.
Nice.
To those who are listening, I hope you enjoyed. Please give us feedback, and I
God, we're
hope
gonna
to see
get
you
so
on our.
shit on for this fucking audio.
Oh,
dude.
we are gonna get shit on for this.
Why
audio. I hope
did
to
you
see
ask
you guys
for
next.
feedback? God damn it.
I'll cut it out. Hopefully. All right.